All right, guys, you should have been finished with that reading that you guys had with Mr. Webb. AJ DeGraff and read. Cut the flirting out. I already told you. All right? And look, Carmichael, no. I'm not even answering that today. And Antonio, it's very good to see you as always, sir. Thank you so much. All right. Now, we were talking about the Persian Wars. And over in Asia, the biggest empire is the Persian Empire, this dominant, large empire that has conquered from modern-day Iran all the way over to the west coast of Turkey. At the same time, the Greek city-states, especially Athens, had grown so big it ran out of room to grow. So it sent out colonists abroad around the Mediterranean. Some of them will wind up over here in what we call Ionia, the west coast of Turkey. Problem is, this land was owned by King Darius. And the Greek colonies come over, they build towns, they grow into cities, they build shipping and port facilities. And these port facilities begin to ship grain back to Athens. The colonists still considered themselves Athenians. They were just in a suburb across the ocean. Well, all of a sudden, King Darius finds out. And he goes over there with his army and he's like, guys, what are you doing? Oh, well, we're farming. Where are you from? We're from Athens. Well, did anybody tell you you're on my land? And they're like, He's like, so what are you doing with all this food you're growing in my farmland? And the Greeks say, well, we're sending some back to Athens. So to simplify it, Darius said, well, since you're on my land and my kingdom, whatever you send to Athens, you better send me in taxes. And as time goes on, Athens is getting a lot of food for free or for cheap. They keep asking for more and more and more. The colonists have to provide it, plus more and more and more and more to King Darius. Soon it happens where they can't supply Athens' demands and the demands of King Darius as well. So they're forced to stop. They tell Darius no. They side with their city-state. What? What do you mean no? No garbage. All right. And so he decides to send his army to go over and put down this rebellion. Now, Darius shows up, and leading his army is King Melega, who's a Greek. And they get to the Ionian Colonies, and they're angry because they find out that the city-state of Athens sent ships and weapons to fight against the Persians. They didn't send men, they sent ships and weapons. And Darius says, Miltiades, I want you to go down there, I want you to kill all the men, I want you to enslave the women and the children, and I want you to burn all the port facilities. And Miltiades says, great king, I got it, I'll kill all the men. I will enslave the women and the children. But why burn the port facilities? We can use this. Did you hear what I said, Miltiades? I said, kill the men, enslave the women and the children, and burn the port facilities. And once again, Miltiades says, look, I will kill the men. Done. Women and children enslaved. But why burn what we're going to have to rebuild? Darius says, one more word out of you, and you're fired. And Miltiades says, yeah, but that's it, you're fired. You got 24 hours to get out of my camp. So Miltiades takes him and his loyal men, and when you're a general and you need a job, if you've just been fired and you know there is a battle that's going to ensue, what do? Richard. Yes, exactly. You go to the other side. Miltiades is a Greek after all. And he goes over to Athens and says, hey, there's a battle that's going to happen. I know what's up. And they go, well, why should we trust you? For years you had been fighting for King Darius. He just fired me, and at heart I am a Greek. And so when the Athenians hear that the Persians are coming, they get slightly terrified. And they know that Persia has this legendarily large, tough army. And so the Persians will send out scouts to the Greek city-states, which, remember, are not unified. They're all split apart due to the geography. And they ask for two symbols of surrender, a basket of earth and a jug of water, symbolic giving me your land and the life-giving water. Most Greek city-states agree, except tiny little Eretria or Plataea and Athens. And the Athenians know they're going to need some help. So they send a runner down to Sparta. And Sparta's like, look, we don't care. We don't like you guys anyway. It's your problem. You solve it. Then a Persian messenger shows up and says, you need to surrender to the great King Darius. And the Spartans say, surrender nothing? Who are you talking about? Well, we are going to conquer Athens. And Spartans say, hey, if you want to conquer the Athenians, great. We don't like them anyway. We have no beef with you. If you come down here, we'll give you all you can handle, but don't bother us. The Persian says, nope, I'm sorry, we're going to conquer everybody. So the Spartans agree to help. But they say that they cannot get there until their religious festival is over. Right? Their main religious festival honoring the god Ares is happening. When it's over, they will come. So it's going to be Athens and Plataea against the mighty Persian army. And the Persians will land in 490 BC on the coast of Marathon, just up the coast about 26 miles from the city of Athens. And so he wants to come down, move southward, and trap Athens against the ocean. So that is his plan. That is what he wants to do. Well, the Athenians and the Plataeans go out and they're overlooking the hills of Marathon. And I'll draw this up on the board for you guys when I get back. And they're over in the hills overlooking the beach, and they see all these ships out on the horizon. And there's a vote taken. And the Athenians say, boy, should we surrender? We don't know if we have enough guys to defeat them. Or should we fight? And there's a vote taken, and it is Miltiades that casts the 13th and the deciding vote, the vote to go to war. And he goes, I know Darius. Darius is going to make a mistake, and when I see it, we're going to capitalize, and we are going to win most assuredly. So, they stand there, they vote to go to war, and Darius gets his men off the ships. And they line up in a huge, long line out on the beach. And they're singing and they're yelling. Ah! They're banging their shields. And they're screaming and they're hollering and they're yelling. And Miltiades says, I got him. Darius had spread his men out too far in like a single line. Miltiades says, we are going to take our phalanx. We're going to get one big phalanx in the middle and smaller ones off to the side. Do not attack Darius until his men start coming up the hills. The hills overlooking Marathon weren't all that big, maybe 100 feet high or so, but it's enough to give the Greeks the high ground. And as the day wears on and Darius' men are screaming, yelling, trying to intimidate the Athenians, he gets mad and gives the order to attack. And as they start climbing up the hill, Miltiades sends the big phalanx rushing down the hill, and it plunges deep into the Persian line. The middle is taken out, and so the two edges must come together, or Miltiades and the Greeks will run right to the beach and capture the king. When the line shrinks, Miltiades has the other phalanxes swing around and come from the sides. And they meet in the middle like alligator teeth or crocodile teeth coming together. In between, the Persians are shish kebabbed, a heroic cavalry charge by Darius' son Xerxes helps save a remnant of the army. A couple of them protect the king as he runs to his ship. He abandons his men and sails back to Persia. Unbelievably, the Greeks have won. 26 miles away, Athens was about to be destroyed. They were outnumbered at least 3-1, and the Greeks have unbelievably upset one of the greatest powers in the world at the time. When it's all said and done, the Persians lose 6,400 guys, and the Athenians only 192. The Greek way of fighting battle was so much more formidable. The phalanx and the Greek bronze weapons and thick wood and leather armor was more than a match for the Persians. So, the battle is over. And there was a guy named Phidippides. Phidippides is one of the runners who was sent out to other city-states like Sparta and said, hey, will you come help us? So Phidippides had run basically 100 miles, comes back to Athens, marches 26 miles out to Marathon, fights in the battle. And they're like, hey, Phidippides, go back and tell the people you are safe, that you are going to be okay, that they don't have to evacuate. And he's, can you get somebody else? I'm tired. I can't do this. And they go, no, you're our fastest runner. So he turns and takes off and starts hauling. And he gets, so far, and he's tired, he's dehydrated, he begins to hallucinate. And Athena, the goddess of war and wisdom and beauty, looks from the Acropolis, from her temple, and she sends one of her assistant goddesses, Nike, the goddess of victory, to go down and help him. And so Nike comes down and puts her winged sandals on Phidippides' feet, and it propels him into Athens, to where he gets to the base of the Parthenon, and he yells out, rejoice, for we have conquered. And he falls down stone cold dead. Bam. His heart had exploded. But Phidippides runs the first marathon. That is why you see all the fancy stickers around here, 26.1. Well, the marathon is 26 miles, but the Queen of England moved the finish line in the Olympics to right in front of her seat, so now it's 26.1, but Phidippides does it. Now, it's the 1970s, and a young man from the University of Oregon had an idea for a new athletic shoe company, but he needed a symbol. So he went to a local high school and went to the art class and said, hey, if any of you comes up with a great design, I'll give you like 50 bucks or something and a pair of shoes. There was one young lady who knew her mythology, knew about Nike's wings on the feet of Phidippides, and she moved the wing to the instep of the shoe. And so now Nike, just do it Nike, goddess of victory, that's how Nike got its shoe symbol. Now a multi-billion-dollar company, all thanks to Phidippides and the goddess of victory, Nike. So it's over. And the Athenians come back and they're like, woo, all right, we won, look what we did. We beat the old, Persians. And all of a sudden into town, you left, you left, you left, come the Husky Spartans. We are here. We will join you in the fight against the Persians. And the Athenians insult them. Oh, look who shows up. Here comes Mr. Warrior Spartan. Mr. Husky, trained all day, trained since 7 years old for war. Where were you? We had the battle and we won. What were you guys doing? What? We've been marching. Oh yeah, you've been marching here. Look, Poindexter, your little calculator and your little liberal arts education. Don't smart off. We came as soon as we could. Oh yeah, sure you did. Sure, while you were out marching, we were actually defeating the Persians, and the Persians are defeated. And when the Athenians make fun of the big, strong, husky Spartans, Spartans get angry. What nobody knows is the Spartans were on their way. A landslide had blocked the main road. So they went cross-country, marching for almost 2 days straight to get there to honor their word. And when the Greeks insult them, they get mad and they go home. They're like, okay, we don't really like you. We said you'd help, and this is how you treat us. Remember that if you ever need us again. Excuse me for the Poindexter impression, but it'll help out. So, now, Darius goes home, and Darius is on the way to his daughter's wedding. And a lot of people are angry that he abandoned them. So on the way to his daughter's wedding, assassins come out, they stab and they kill the great King Darius. That must have been a pretty crappy wedding reception. On the way, the same guys surround Darius' son Xerxes, and he's like, oh my God, all I have is my ceremonial sword, what's going to happen? And they say, hail, King Xerxes, you didn't abandon us, We now want you to be in charge. So Xerxes now finds himself the king. And he has two immediate objectives. Number one is to avenge his father's loss. He couldn't let his dad get beat by these little idiot Greeks. Number two, he's got to secure the western edge of his empire, which means he's got to take out Greece. So he will spend the next 10 years or so building a large multicultural army, soldiers from all over Persia, soldiers from as far away as Russia, his 10,000 immortal soldiers who all wore the same outfit, like a stormtrooper in Star Wars. So if one died, you didn't know because another one popped back up. Soldiers from deep in the Middle East, from as far away as Africa and India, and he's going to lead this massive multicultural force on an invasion of Greece. Now, back home in Athens, there's a guy named Themistocles. Themistocles was a member of the assembly, and he said, you know, we defeated the Persians, but they're going to be back. I guarantee they're going to come back. So what he proposes was taking money from the city treasury and using it to build a fleet, 300 ships. These ships would be small and well-built and tough, and they would be warships, but they would also have a cargo hold. So the money is going to be taken from the city treasury to buy them, but as the warships go out and conduct trading around the Mediterranean, a portion of the cargo that they sell, all the money they make, will go back into the city treasury. Themistocles says we're going to have great ships, we're going to have trading ships, multi-purpose ships, and they'll pay for themselves over and over and over. Because if the Persians ever come back, we had better fight them on the water where we are better. And they say, Themistocles, that's a great idea. We're going to put you in charge. And he's like, what? I don't know anything about shipbuilding. They're like, well, it was your idea. Figure it out. So Themistocles is extremely intelligent. He holds a contest, if you will, for all the famous shipbuilders of Greece. Whoever gets the best design and can crank these things out will get the contract to build them. Where he didn't know anything about it, he would find somebody who could. And while the ships were being built, he went to the fishing captains, the military captains, and learned everything he could about sailing. So, for the next 10 years, the Greeks have their ships, they're making money, and all of a sudden they get word that a massive invasion is coming. Xerxes is ready to unleash this massive army on Greece. And once again, riders are sent out from the great King Xerxes for people to surrender. And he says, when I come this time, I'm laying waste to absolutely everything. Once again, Athens says no. One of his nephews shows up to Athens, and the Athenians take the messenger, and they throw him down a well and drown him. Another one goes to Sparta, and the Spartan commander says, look, get the heck out of here. The last guy that came here, we sent him packing. You want to capture the punk Athenians? Great. We'll help you. We don't like them anyway. And the Persians said, no, unfortunately, we must capture all of Greece this time. So the Persians take him in one of their training pits. It's a sharpened pit full of stakes, like sharpened punji sticks, and they throw him down there and impale him on it. And then an Athenian runner comes to Sparta. Says, hi, Mr. Spartan, sir. What do you want, Athenian? I remember you. You're the one who told me I was a big, husky, dumb thug Spartan and made fun of us after marathon. Ah, yes. Oh, get out of here. I'll kill you myself. And the guy, runs wee all the way back to Athens. And how did it go? Oh man, Spartan guy was really mad, told me he was going to kill me, so I didn't even get to ask him the question. Well, get your butt back down there, tough guy, and ask him. So the guy starts running all the way back to Sparta, and he knocks on the gate. You again! What do you want, Athenian? We need your help. I don't care the last time. I'm going to kill you right now. And the guy, and goes wee, all the way home back to Athens. He gets back. what happened this time? Oh, the guy started screaming and yelling. It was weird. I don't even know what he said. It was like a guttural scream. He said he was going to kill me. Go down there and offer them anything that they want as long as it helps us defeat Sparta or defeat Persia. We'll give them whatever they want. So he runs back down. You again, kid. I'm going to kill you right now. Oh, hang on, Mr. Spartan. Sir, we'll give you whatever you want if you help us. Nah. Spartan says, anything we want. Huh. Now think about this. Athens had deeply insulted Sparta. What could Sparta do to get revenge? What would the best thing they could ask for be? Excellent, Jared. Good point. They could ask to be in charge. Sparta says, we'll help you, but we've got to be in charge of not only the land army, but the navy as well. But you guys don't know anything about sailing. I'm not asking that. I'm saying we're in charge. The Spartans were forcing Athens to admit that the Spartans were the superior culture. They had to play second fiddle. Does this make sense? Okay. So, now the Spartans weren't dumb. When it came time to the navy, Themistocles and his ship captains would be in charge of the sailing. The Spartan soldiers would be on board as a Spartan marine. And so we hear that King Xerxes is coming. And he's got this big army, about 250,000 soldiers, plus the cooks, the armorers, the servants, the stable hands, to take care of all the animals. This is going to be a massive, massive invasion. Could be as high as 500,000 to 600,000 people. And he decides that it's going to be hard for him to get his boats over there. So he tells his men, just build giant barges, get big giant barges, just get me over there, I'll worry about getting back. And when Xerxes' engineers begin building, they take boats like barges and they put down boards across them. And the Persian army forms a land bridge from Asia to Europe. They literally walk across this land bridge, most of them, the soldiers, to get into the north of Greece. Their plan is to start in the north and sweep down and capture all of Athens, to destroy Athens and everything in its path. It is the largest invasion of Europe until the D-Day invasion, June 6, 1944. So from 480 BC to 1944, 2,000 years, this was the longest invasion, biggest invasion in world history. So the Athenians are preparing to evacuate the city. And the Spartans are having a quandary. One of the kings is the great king Leonidas. And he comes up with a very interesting plan where the entire army of Sparta isn't going to go fight the Persians. But he is going to select 300 special warriors. These warriors are going to have long service in Sparta. They're going to have proven themselves in battle with Leonidas before. And they're going to have at least one son left behind to carry on the family name. It's basically a suicide mission. Leonidas is taking 300 Spartans way up to the north to the little town of Thermopylae. Thermopylae is a narrow mountain pass. It means the hot gates or the hot rocks. There were sulfur springs that were supposed to be medicinal. There's a really awesome statue there if you ever get a chance to go. And what happens is the mountains come down and they form a narrow funnel where if Xerxes' entire army charged Leonidas and his men, they'd have no chance. But in this mountain pass, only a few could get at the Spartans at a time. On the other side was a sheer cliff face going into the ocean. So there was no way to get around the Spartans. The Greek Navy will see to that. The only way to do it was to come right at them. So Leonidas and his men are going to go about 100 miles. They're going to go up north of Athens and they're going to hold Xerxes at the Thermopylaean Pass. And the idea is that an army, there's the statue, the army is that size is only going to be able to live for so long. It's going to consume a lot of food. It's going to consume a lot of water. And if those resources are shattered, they're not going to be able to fight anymore. They're going to have to withdraw or to retreat. While Leonidas was holding them in the gap, the Athenian navy under Themistocles was going to knock out their supply ships. And so off goes Leonidas and the 300. And whether this is legend or true doesn't matter. It's just what makes the story so rich and good. Leonidas and his specially chosen men wake up. And Sparta was this stoic, very tough, rugged society. They didn't display emotion, the things I told you about. And on the day they're set to leave, the warriors get up, they put on their armor and their red capes that were kind of, blood red to make them look superhuman, but their helmets and their spears and their shields and swords are gone. And as they start to leave, they find that the whole city of Sparta had turned out. Flower petals were thrown along the road, and as the 300 Spartans marched out, their children gave them their shield, or gave them their spear, their sword, and their helmet. And as they walked out the gates, their wives, their Spartan wives, gave them a shield, and they said the Spartan war cry, "Come back with your shield upraised in victory, or you come back being carried on. You either win or you're dead. Your shield is upraised in victory, or your body is on top of it." There wasn't a dry eye in Sparta, and off goes Leonidas and his 300. And along the way, other Greek city-states who surrendered to Xerxes kind of felt bad and thought that they were kind of weak. So he picks up, guys along the way until Leonidas gets to the Thermopylaean Pass. There's about 4,000 Greeks with him. And they get there to this tiny little village, and Leonidas sends some guys to go ahead and scout ahead into the area. And they're laying on a hill, and the earth begins to shake, and they see this dust cloud, and again, they're masters of camouflage, they're Spartans, and all of a sudden, they see themselves surrounded by this vast number of troops. They can't believe how many soldiers are actually there. And they're discovered. Rather than being killed, they're brought to Xerxes, who gives them a meal and says, "I've heard of you Spartans. You're supposed to be pretty good. Well, I'm going to give you a tour of my camp, and you go back and tell your king Xerxes, or tell your king Leonidas, that he should join my army." And the tour of the camp takes 3 days, and Xerxes says, "My army is so big, we drink rivers and lakes dry. You cannot compete against this." The two men ride their horses back to Thermopylae, and Leonidas says, "Well, how big's the army?" They're like, "Really big. It took us 3 days to ride around it." Well, Leonidas, or one of his men, is supposed to have said, "Well, good. If there's that many warriors, there should be one down there worthy of fighting a Spartan." And so a couple days later, the Persians ride up to scout the Spartans. And the Spartan way they got ready for battle was very interesting. They were naked, they would lather themselves in olive oil, and then they would braid each other's hair and beards. So the Persians ride into the craziest locker room scene they've ever seen. Bunch of, husky, rough, tough Spartans putting little decorations in each other. So they're like, what is going on here? And the great thing about this is, part of the Spartan intimidation, they didn't scream and yell and hoot and holler. They were dead silent. They went about their business. They didn't even look up at the Persians. They didn't acknowledge their existence whatsoever. And so, the battle is about to begin. And on the first day, earlier in the morning, Xerxes sends in several thousand soldiers, and they're screaming and clanging and banging, and they don't come back. The Spartans had been bred for this. Up front are their husky men with their shields in their phalanx. They had a 6-foot-long spear with a heavy bronze or brass spear in the front and a lead weight in the back to give it perfect balance. They would take it and jab it and thrust it forward. and they would slowly move forward and beat the guys back. It was like a combine, just chewing up corn, and then they would retreat. And that's where we will pick up the lesson when I return. We will talk about Leonidas and the 300 when I return on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, everyone.